There, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. The select men in the black community. Now, you know, we've been talking about the select, non-select thing, and I did a upload saying really defining the select. Basically, they just the sexually appealing men. But then, you know, we also still got this conversation about Pookie and Ray Ray, and you know, some guys just thinking, oh yeah, it's just those bum type of dudes getting all the women. Well, see, first of all, let me define who's going to be considered select generally in the black community, right? One, is a very physical element to it. In the African American community, you know, in general, if we saying all over the world, people can make that argument, looks don't matter. And yeah, if we're talking specifically the black community, looks matter, but there are some exceptions which I'll explain later, right? So basically it's going to be off of physicality. That has always defined the black experience in America, if you really want to get down to it, because even within the community there's never been like a situation of the content of our character. That's just how it is, and you know, there's some deep sociological stuff with that as well. But it is what it is. You know, the colorism argument gets in there as well, because if you look in the black community, some of the dudes are going to be select. There's going to be that colorist thing. They either going to be, and depending on the social class, because that plays a role too. They either going to be light complexion with that, shall we say, a different grade of hair. I don't like using the word good hair. To me, any hair natural to someone's genetics is good hair, right? Or, you know, depending on their level of consciousness, might be the chocolate brother, whatever, right? But there are some similarities. Whatever the case, they're going to be sexually appealing to the women. Important point, to the women who find them, who find them sexually appealing. And you know, of course, that's going to be different. So basically, there's no one guy or one type of guy that's going to be sexually appealing to the entire black community. Now, on this, I will refer to Master Teacher BGS's octane system, right? Because that octane system is very much a social class thing, right? Very much a social class thing. So, you know, it's funny when people talk about Pookie and Ray Ray, the only women who really will mess with the Pookie and Ray Ray are the lower octanes. The 85s definitely, maybe the 87s, depend if you know, if a Pookie and Ray Ray clean themselves up, decide they, you know, trying to be legit, they trying to upgrade or something, yeah, they'll get some of the 87s. But when you talk about the 89s, the 93s, and even some of the 100s, is always a class thing too. So you can't talk about black relationships without talking about class. Religion too. All of that plays a part. And that's going to play a part in who a woman finds attractive, right? So when you talk about who's select, non-select, right? Who's generally select, consensusly select, it's going to go across the board. So yeah, as you start at the low end, it's going to be a Pookie or Ray Ray. You deal with some of those ratchet women, you got to be street. You got to be hard, right? But then if you get up to the 87s looking to be that good wife, the guys who are going to be sexually appealing to them are maybe that good husband type. You know, that type who's going to work. I've known some women who were like on that end. The guy who mess with him gotta be solid. He can't be on no bullshit, and he gotta have a job, preferably with benefits, right? But then when you get up to those 89s, that's when they start saying, all right, they looking at you. They might think you cute or whatever they gonna think. They might think you fine, but shit, they want to know if you got what kind of degree you got. Now the 89s, they can be flexible about it, right? They can be flexible, but they still generally looking to move up. But you start, when you get into the 92s, shoot, you approach them, first question out of their mouth is going to be where you go to school. You know, and depending on where they at, they're going to be like, where'd you go to school? What frat did you pledge? Right? You know, what are you doing now? Right? Where you working now? Right? And then the hundreds, you know, that gets a little weird, but that's like that celebrity level. You know, that's more about how much money you got at that level. At that level. You might, only exceptions might be if you just that fine too, right? And speaking of the fine thing, right? Speaking of the fine thing, like I say, in general, brother gotta be fine. And that's usually an athletic build. Like I said in a previous video, the one type of black man that's respected, universally respected in the black community is an athlete, a jock. I'd say secondarily, maybe a successful entertainer. Right? Because if you, and I thought about that today because my alma mater, my school, my college, right, St. Joe's, they recently fired a coach, and as a result, many of the players are transferring, which happens and whatnot, right? So they in the process of getting new players. Somebody on one of the message boards that follow that school mentioned a player. I started checking them out, and I was thinking, you know, if a brother want to get some play like in high school, if he can shoot a basketball, boom, you know, boom. Anybody who's played sports, he's like, shoot, you can shoot. Because you'll have the decent body, shoot, you can have a so-so face, but you play ball? Please. And you good at it? Please. Women laying down for that. Shoot, you the superstar. Shit, even if a woman got a choice in the hood between choosing between Pookie and Ray Ray and that local dude who looked like he got a shot at a college and maybe the NBA, please. And shoot, for some of those hood girls anyway, on that level, that could be anybody who's a superstar, right? Or a football player, something like that. If you play one of those two sports. If you play one of those two sports and you're in a skill or a star position, boom, that's where everybody tried to be, the running back or whatever, right? That's a way of doing it, right? And also, like anything to bring you status, you could be the local DJ, musician, whatever, right? But my point with that is it goes across. It's not just one archetype, right? Because like you had plenty, first of all, that whole thing about the whole Pookie and Ray Ray versus educated lame thing, that makes it sound so like, oh, if you educate, you ain't gonna get any play. Well, you might not from a lower class woman, because they looking for a certain thing, and plus they can't relate to you. And plus, if you got your paper, look, if you got a degree, especially an advanced degree, why you worry about the type of woman that somebody like Pookie and Ray Ray can get with? And don't give me those examples that every now and then example of some educated woman getting with some Pookie and Ray Ray. Give me 100 examples, then I'll listen. I mean 100 that you know personally. Then I'll listen. Every now and then, just like, nah, that don't count. There's always an exception. But if we're gonna talk about this shit, we gotta talk about what the general tendencies are, right? What's the consensus doing? And trust me, like I said, I got the receipts for my education. And I know how the women are going to behave. Sometimes that's the first thing out of their mouth. If I meet a sister, first thing out of her mouth where I go to school, that's when I know. I'm like, oh, okay. Then they're going to want to know what you do for a living. Then I don't care how fine they think you are, but that's select for them. That's select. That's who the thing is. And if I had to put a composite, it generally needs to be an athletically built brother. He can even be big as long as he look like he might have balled or something. Not necessarily basketball, football, or something, like a athletic build. Got some money. Got a little bit of money. I mean, he could be blue collar and stuff, but just got a little bit of money, can kind of take care of himself, especially since black men have that reputation of not having jobs. So if you just a BMW, what they would call one time a black man working, shoot, a woman checking you out, right? And then I said something about like getting past that looks thing. That whole thing with swag, that whole black cool thing, right? There's a certain level of cool that sisters are looking for, a certain level of swag, a certain level of flavor. Now there's some cats who say that's crazy and stuff, but look, I'm just saying what it is. I'm saying what is, you know? And it's something that's developed. It was something that's actually a part of black culture, but that's That's another thing. Isn't that right or wrong? Because actually it works. Because there were a lot of women, a lot of white women, Asian women, everything else looking for that swag. In fact, I'll break something down too. A lot of dudes think of other women of some, like other women will like take a brother and he don't have to have all that swag or whatnot. But if you put those same white women and you put them with what, you know, somebody would call corny or lame, and then a brother with swag, guess who they going for? And I've seen it a lot. Whenever they get a chance to go for a lot of brothers, they going for that same one. But that's the select. That's the select. Like I say, and it goes across because there's no law that says you can't be fine, athletic, have some edge to you, and you have a law degree, or you have a medical degree, or you have a accounting degree. You know, there's no law that says that, and there's plenty that have it. Now, you know, one argument people say is, well, like, yeah, all these women, they having babies by these thugs. Well, let's just say this. Starting from brothers I've met start going back to college, right? Going back to college, going like at the graduate level, going back dealing with all these dudes. They popping out kids too. And these kids look like them. Seriously, I like hundreds that I know personally, going back years. They got kids too. They popping out kids. All these guys who are Kappas, lawyers, shoot, some of these guys who are cops, they popping out kids too. They not Pookie and Ray Ray. So even if you try to use that argument, oh yeah, they taking care of those bastard kids. Well, there's plenty of dudes popping out kids and taking care of kids. And even some of the dudes, they ain't getting married. I knew a dude, this dude, millionaire from just flipping houses, kids. Another dude, solid dude, blue collar cat, ain't getting in trouble, activist in the community. He got about 5 kids. I mean, I know some dudes, they do their part to repopulate something. But you got a lot of business owners, everything. I mean, just the whole select thing. It's you to try to stereotype it into one person or one type of person ain't going to do. It's not working. We got to be realistic, you know. And I know some people try to say, you know, some dudes who consider themselves non-select, they'll try to put down the select and say, well, they this and they, that's like, nah, that's okay. You talking about one section. You talking about one section dealing with lower class women that you shouldn't be concerned about anyway. Seriously, ask yourself that shit. I'm out here, I'm looking at the 89s at the least. And quite frankly, 92s and the whatever. The hundreds. So, you know, I just wanted to share that because I think that's the problem. It's like that, them the bad guy, they getting all these women, they the bad guy. And that's another thing too. Just because a dude select don't mean he a player. Or womanizer. I know some dudes, they solid. They could be, but you know, maybe for religious reasons, maybe they just don't feel like being bothered. Maybe because their wives are bad as shit. They ain't trying to be out here in that game. So I want y'all to think about that. And I just wanted to share that because it's kind of funny. You know, I hear stuff, but I'm out here. And of course, I know there's some people who say, well, this study said this, study said that, but it's also just as academic to do field work, to go out here and see what's actually out here, to observe what's actually out here. That's actually a part of any social science. As I've said, I did a couple videos mentioning this term. Qualitative research is basically field research. And that includes interviewing people, observing a culture, even immersing themselves in the culture. And it's considered very valid across several disciplines, from economics to anthropology to sociology. You know, a few more I ain't even thinking about, but it's to get out there, like if you're going to figure out some stuff, just get out there and observe, ask them questions and shit. You know, do surveys, which I've done plenty in the past and given them out. You know, in fact, I think I might put together another one. I haven't done one in a very long time, but I actually study shit. So anyway, right, that's all I wanted to share. Y'all have a good day, right? I might throw something up later on from the car. Y'all know how I do. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.